He enters the classroom, sits down, doesn't say anything. He looks at us. We look at him. At first, there are a few giggles, but Murray only shrugs. And eventually, a deep silence falls, and we begin to notice the smallest sounds. The radiator humming in the corner of the room, the nasal breathing of one of the fat students. Some of us are ag- agitated. When is he going to say something? We squirm, check our watches. A few students look out the window, trying to be above it all. This goes on a good 15 minutes before Murray finally breaks in with a whisper. What's happening here? He asks. And so slowly a discussion begins, as Murray has warned it all along, about the effect of silence on human relations. Why are we embarrassed by silence? What comfort do we find in all the noise? I am not bothered by the silence. For all the noise I make with my friends, I am still not comfortable talking about my feelings in front of others, especially not classmates. I could sit in the quiet for hours if that is what the class demanded. On my way out, Murray stops me. You didn't say much today, he remarks. I don't know, I just didn't have anything to add. I think you have a lot to add. In fact, Mitch, you remind me of someone I knew who also liked to keep things to himself when he was younger. Who? Me. The second Tuesday, we talk about feeling sorry for yourself. I came back to the next Tuesday, and for many Tuesdays that followed, I looked forward to these visits more than one would think, considering I was flying 700 miles to sit alongside a dying man. But I seemed to slip into a time wrap when I visited Mowbray, and I liked myself better when I was there. I no longer rented a cellular phone for the ride from the airport. Let them wait, I told myself, mimicking Murray. The newspaper situation in Detroit had not improved. In fact, it had grown increasingly insane with nasty confrontations between picketers and replacement workers. People arrested, beaten, lying in the street in front of delivery trucks. In light of this, my visits with Murray felt like a cleansing rinse of human kindness. We talked about life and we talked about love. We talked about one of Murray's favorite subjects, compassion, and why our society had such a shortage of it. Before my third visit, I stopped at a market called Bread and Circus. I had seen their bags in Murray's house and figured he must like the food there, and I loaded up with plastic containers from their fresh food takeaway. Things like vermicelli with vegetables and carrot soup and baklava. When I entered Murray's study, I lifted the bags as if I just robbed the bank. Food, Ben! I bellowed. Murray rolled his eyes and smiled. Meanwhile, I looked for signs of the disease's progression. His fingers worked well enough to write with a pencil or hold up his glasses, but he couldn't lift his arms much higher than his chest. He was spending less and less time in the kitchen or living room and more in his study, where he had a large reclining chair set up with pillows, blankets, and specially cut pieces of foam rubber foam rubber that held his feet and gave support to his withered legs. He kept the bell near his side, and when his head needed adjusting or he had to go on the commode, as he referred to it, he would shake the bell and Connie, Tony, Bertha, or Amy, his small army of home care workers, would come in. It wasn't always easy for him to lift the bell, and he got frustrated when he couldn't make it work. I asked Murray if he felt sorry for himself. Sometimes in the mornings, he said. That's when I mourn. I feel around my body. I feel around my body. I move fingers and my hands, whatever I can still move, and I mourn what I've lost. I mourn the slow, insidious way in which I'm dying. But then I stop mourning. Just like that, I give myself a good cry if I need it. But then I concentrate on all the good things still in my life, on the people who are coming to see me, on the stories I'm going to hear, on you if it's Tuesday, because we are Tuesday people, I grant Tuesday people. Mitch, I don't allow myself any more self pity than that. A little each morning, a few tears, and that's all. I thought about all the people I knew who spent many of their waking hours feeling sorry for themselves. How useful it would be to put a daily limit on self pity. Just a few tearful minutes, then on with the day. And if Murray could do it with such a horrible disease. It's only horrible if you see it that way, Murray said. It's horrible to watch my body slowly wilt away to nothing. But it's also wonderful because of all the time I get to say goodbye. He smiled. Not everyone is so lucky. I studied him in his chair. I studied him in his chair, unable to stand, to wash, to pull on his pants. Lucky? Did he really say lucky? During a break, when Murray had to use the bathroom, I lifted through the Boston newspaper that sat near his chair. There was a story about a small timber town where two teenage girls tortured and killed a 73-year-old man who had befriended them, then threw a party in his trailer home and showed off the corpse. There was another story about the upcoming trial of a straight man who killed a gay man after the latter had gone on a TV talk show and said he had a crush on him. I put the paper away. Murray was rolled back in, smiling as always, and Connie went to lift him from the wheelchair to the recliner. You want me to do that? I asked. There was a momentary silence. And I'm not even sure why I offered, but Murray looked at Connie and said, "Can you show him how to do it?" "Sure," Connie said. Following her instructions, I leaned over, locked my forearms under Murray's armpit, and hooked him toward me, as if lifting a large log from underneath. Then I straightened up, hoisting him as I rose. Normally, when you lift someone, you expect